Hello everyone, this is Colleen Lemma, Starseed Astrologer and Spiritual Messenger from SacredSoulEmpowerment.com. Here to do your monthly angel card reading for March 2020. For this month's monthly reading, we'll be using the Syrian Starseed Tarot by Patricia Corey and Alyssa Bartha, which is the main message for everyone. And your special message card this month, depending on your stone of choice, will be coming from the Energy Oracle deck by Sandra Ann Taylor. I also want to make mention that I am taking part in a new monthly video podcast with a friend of mine on the East Coast, Kathy Munson, psychic medium. That is called Empowered Voices, and you can watch that on our new YouTube channel under Empowered Voices and see it on our Facebook page under the same name, Empowered Voices. So we started that at the beginning of this year, 2020. We have January and February's podcast out and available, and the March monthly podcast in video and audio form will be available on March 11th. So please make sure to go to that page, listen to that, share it, like it, subscribe to the channel, and see what Kathy and I have to share with you each and every month on different spiritual topics, different things going on a spiritual level, even on a collective level. So we look forward to continuing that and seeing where that leads us. And if you have any ideas for what you'd like to hear us talk about in that monthly podcast, please email us at empoweredvoices11@gmail.com. That's empoweredvoices and the number 11@gmail.com. So let's go ahead and take a look at our stones of choice for this month before we get into the energy. Our first stone of choice, this one's called ragonite. That's Aragonite, ragonite. Now it comes in different colors. This one happens to be a copper colored, tan brownish colored aragonite. This stone helps to aid in concentration. It's a mental stone, so it helps with concentration. It helps to bring flexibility to the mind. It helps us to come into more of a state or an aspect of tolerance for other people or for ourselves or in our lives. This is known as an earth healer stone, and it actually connects with the earth goddess energy of the planet. So this is going to help to relate to the root chakra, where we're grounded with Mother Earth Gaia and that earth goddess energy. Your second stone of choice for this month is a clear quartz, but it's a window quartz. You can see this beautiful face, which we call a window, within this clear quartz. Now, the window quartz helps to harmonize higher vibrational energies within the light body. It helps with stimulating healing of the light body, the energy bodies. And it also provides a link, as you might guess from its name, window quartz. It provides a link to scry to future and or past events. So if you're wondering what the future might hold for you, what you could do is take a window quartz of this nature and you could actually meditate or scry into this window and see what comes up, see what you have to see as far as future potential possibilities. Your last stone of choice is this beautiful lapis. I just love this lapis. I love all lapis, actually. I think it comes from my Egyptian lifetime. But the lapis lazuli helps to encourage self-awareness. It allows for self-expression. It helps to reveal one's inner truth. And of course it relates to the throat chakra, so this is about speaking your truth in an authentic way. And it's also great for confidence and clarity. Okay, so those are your stones of choice, the aragonite, the window quartz, or the lapis. So let's start by talking about the numerology vibration of the month of March for 2020. Since we're in a 4 universal year for 2020, and how do we get that? We add 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 0, we get the number 4. I also talked about in the January monthly angel card reading how I also like to look at that 2-2, or in essence, master number 22 vibration, even though it doesn't equal 22 when we add it up, you still see this 2020, and it just has that essence of that master number energy. So as we're in this 4 universal year, which is about focus and about restructuring our lives in a nutshell, we want to add that 4 universal year to the month of March, which is a 3 month, okay? And so we get the number 7. And the number 7 from a numerological perspective is a number of inner wisdom. It's about going within in silence and self-contemplation and connecting to your inner guide, or one might say your higher soul self, to gain an inner perspective, to gain some sort of inner wisdom, to gain some messages or a sense of higher knowledge that is on a spiritual level. Now, the number 7 numerologically is an emotional number, a mental number, and a spiritual number, because the numbers often relate to one of the planes of reality. Like the number 4 of the universal year is a very physical number. And so we're talking about like physical manifestation, work, job, life path, money, resources, things of a physical level with that number 4. But with the number 7, it's a little unusual, unlike some of the other single-digit numbers, in that it relates to 3 different planes of reality. It's an emotional number, so it's very intuitive, and it also, because it's intuitive, connects with the spiritual realm. It's mental, so it's very logical and analytical. Going back to the emotional, this brings up a connection with our emotional bodies. And so if you think about the emotional, mental, spiritual connections, it can be a little confusing. And a lot of times the number 7 has to do with trust and faith on a spiritual level, because not all the puzzle pieces are in place. We want to be logical and use our analytical mind to see what is going on in our mental reality. But there's things that are kind of hidden beneath the surface on that spiritual level, and we get a little emotional and confused and maybe even a little fearful or anxious. The number 7 can be known for anxiety. But again, it all comes down to having faith and trust in not only the universe and not only your angels and guides, but in yourself. That, again, that connection to the higher soul self and that inner guide within. That helps us move through that 7 vibrational energy. And of course, again, March is a universal 7 month. And so all those things I'm talking about, the mental, the logical, the emotional, the intuitive, the spiritual, faith, trust, all of these things are wrapped up in the energy of the month of March. Now, the 7th major arcana in the tarot is the Chariot card, and the rendition from the Syrian Starseed Tarot looks like this. And so again, the Chariot card is the 7th major arcana. So the month of March also has this energy of the Chariot card. And what does the Chariot card mean? The Chariot card is moving forward on some level. You can see that, there's a chariot here. There's a person within the chariot. In this particular rendition, this is one of the gods that is riding within the chariot. And usually in the traditional tarot deck, it shows 2 horses. Now this one has 5 horses, but if you look closely, and just like the regular chariot card, usually one of the horses is a white-colored horse and moving in one direction, or head turned in one direction. And the other horse in the traditional tarot is a dark-colored or black-colored horse, and they're moving or looking in the opposite direction. Now again, in this card from the Syrian Starseed Tarot, we have 2 horses looking this way or moving this way, 2 horses looking the other way and moving that way, and then we have a 5th horse in the middle that seems to be on point and looking straight ahead and moving straight ahead. So when you think about that symbology, the Chariot card is about us needing to focus our efforts to move forward in a more likely direction, or to move forward in a better way, or to move forward easily. And what happens with the horses looking one way and the other horses looking the other way is it's about not being able to rein in the energies to focus on one particular path. And in the month of March, we start out, of course, in Pisces energy, and we start out with Mercury retrograde in Pisces. And that Pisces energy is the last sign of the zodiac. It's a sign of completion. And we'll probably come back to this again here when we start talking about the astrology. But just to give you an idea, Pisces energy is a little bit elusive and a little bit confusing, just sort of like these horses here, where two horses want to go one way, two horses want to go the other, and there's no clear-cut path forward. Now, luckily in this particular tarot card, there is that one horse that is focused and looking straight ahead and ready to move forward in that particular direction. But those other horses have to be reined in. The ones on this side have to, be able to be reined in to bring in a focus. The horses on the other side have to be reined in to have that focus, like that straightaway horse in the middle, so that there can be positive forward movement without feeling stuck or without feeling confused as to which direction you want to go. So this, again, in a nutshell, indicates that we're on this track of wanting to move forward, but we need to gain a little bit more clarity or a little bit more focus, rein in those energies. And you could even look at it with the white horse being the light, the dark horse being the dark. If you want to look at it another way, your higher self with the white horse versus your ego self, the dark horse. And we need to kind of balance the two and rein in the two so that they're on the same page. The ego isn't bad. The dark horse isn't bad. This is about, again, the two aspects within ourselves, the shadow side, which brings in fears and anxieties, and our light, higher soul self side, which really knows on a higher soul self level what is in our best and highest interest. But sometimes we need to balance those two and rein in those energies so that they're working together, that they're on the same page in order to move forward in the best way possible for us, okay? So a lot of movement can happen, but first we have to kind of, again, bring things into balance within ourselves. And let's go ahead and talk about the astrological highlights of the month, because we'll gain a little bit more clarity regarding that Chariot card with this. So again, just talking about the highlights astrologically, on the 4th of March, we have Mercury, the planet that rules the mental realm, rules our thoughts, our ideas, it rules communications. And as I said, Mercury is retrograde. It started out in retrograde motion back in February at 12 degrees Pisces. But now on the 4th of March, it's retrograding back into the sign before Pisces, which is Aquarius. Now, Mercury in Aquarius is a pretty good placement because Mercury, again, is logical, analytical. It rules all things of the mental realm, speaking, teaching, writing, our thoughts, ideas. And it's moving into Aquarius, which is an air sign. And Aquarius is logic and, to some extent wisdom and higher perceptions and higher learning. And it rules the God mind energy. So Aquarius has this ability to kind of channel higher thought and again, higher wisdom from the divine. So as Mercury retrogrades back into Aquarius, and it's there until I think it's the 16th here. It's the 16th of March. Mercury is in that sign. It's going to highlight things that are more logical rather than that Piscean, dreamy, lack of focus, lack of clarity energy. So again, I feel like this is a good placement from the 4th through the 16th with Mercury in Aquarius. And this is good for networking. This is good for humanitarian endeavors. This is good for, even in a sense, creative, but it's creative, logical types of new ideas, new inspirations, new aha moments. And because it's still retrograde, there might be a revisiting of the past in some way. In other words, something that may have started perhaps a few weeks ago that maybe seemed to fizzle out, maybe it gets revived here as Mercury moves back into Aquarius. We start having those connections with other people or with groups. We have the connections to the humanitarian endeavors, new insights, again, higher knowledge, higher wisdom that's coming through. So there's a revival of that energy from when it was in Aquarius before. Now also on the 4th of March, Venus is changing signs as well. And Venus rules relationships, partnerships. It rules money, finances, personal resources, our values, and our sense of self-worth. And she's moving into the sign of Taurus, which is one of her home signs. Venus naturally rules Taurus, and she naturally rules Libra. Now, the Taurus rulership is more focused on the personal resources. Now, that could be money and finances, but other types of personal resources could be time and effort and support, from other people or groups. There's all types of energies that can be considered personal resources for us. Now, Venus is going to provide a focus on these areas of our life. And again, especially highlighting money, financial resources, etc., until April 4th. She's in that sign. So it's a good time to take care of money matters, or, things will come up to, this is also about our values too. So we're focusing more on what do we really value in our lives, and how do we value ourselves in our lives. Those things are all going to be made more apparent as Venus goes into Taurus. The next thing that's highlighted, which is a pretty big deal, is on the 9th of March. Now, on the 9th of March, Mercury goes back to direct motion. And it goes back to direct motion at 28 degrees of Aquarius. So as it retrograded back on the 4th of March into Aquarius, it only went back to 28 degrees and then came to a standstill, turned back to direct motion, and will be in Aquarius again until the 16th of March when it moves back into Pisces. So take advantage of that time period between the 4th and the 16th of March when Mercury is in Aquarius to kind of tie up loose ends, or take care of details that has to do with ideas or goals, or things that are humanitarian in nature, or working with groups of people, or coming up with, again, new kind of ideas on a higher plane of reality as far as how to move forward. All of those things that Aquarius rules. And then on the 16th, when Mercury moves back into Pisces, we're going more into that dreamy, floaty, creative, artistic, and even a little bit romantic kind of energy of the mind. But again, Mercury in Pisces can be a little elusive and confusing, not grounded and not focused, going back to that Chariot card, to where we're needing to kind of rein in the energies to provide a focus so that we can move forward. So I would say one of the time periods of March that we can kind of rein in those energies to provide this focus is when Mercury is in Aquarius between the 4th and the 16th. Now, going back to the 9th of March, also on the 9th of March is when we have a full moon at 19 degrees Virgo. Now, this is the last full moon in this cycle of Pisces that we're in. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. It's a sign of completion. And what's going to happen is that the sun is in Pisces at 19 degrees. The moon is in Virgo at 19 degrees. That's what creates the full moon. Now, this is the last full moon in that Piscean sign of completion before we move into the spring equinox, which we're going to get to here in a moment. But this particular full moon is powerful because, first of all, it's again that last full moon in this completion era of Pisces before we come into this idea of the astrological new year with the sun moving into Aries, which is a sign of new beginnings, the first sign of the zodiac. The full moon is connecting to Neptune. It's opposing Neptune, which brings in again this elusive, confusing kind of energy, but can also bring in magical spiritual energies as well. So make sure that you're intending and focusing your intentions on that magical spiritual energy. Also, the full moon is connecting to Mars, and that's in a positive connection. So again, there can be some sort of positive movement here if we're taking care of the details, because that Virgo energy with the full moon says, look at the details, take care of the details, take small steps, kind of organize your moving forward into small increments, so to speak. But that positive connection to Mars says, okay, Mars wants to activate, Mars wants to put energy towards something, it wants to move us forward in a place of action. With that opposition to Neptune, I'd say that we just have to have trust and faith, as Neptune calls for trust and faith as the natural ruler of Pisces. And again, it can bring this magical spiritual energy if we visualize, believe, and intend for something to happen. The full moon also connects to Jupiter as well. So Jupiter and Mars are both in Capricorn right now, another earth sign just like Virgo. So Jupiter likes to expand the energies. It's the ruler of belief systems. And so if you have positive beliefs and you stay in a positive place of believing or thinking or intending, then you're going to expand with that Jupiter expansion principle. You're going to expand into the most positive energies. Now, that doesn't mean that even though you might be focused on the best possible outcome, it's still a full moon, which can bring up a lot of emotional energies, and it's going to be a time of healing and completion because of this being the last lunation in that Pisces cycle. Okay, so we are moving forward to now the 19th of March, and this is when the spring equinox happens. So this follows up with the full moon rather well because, you know, here we have the sun moving into Aries, first sign of the zodiac, time of planting new seeds, time of initiations, time of having confidence and being more in your leadership potential. And so this is going to be the start of the new astrological year. Okay, we think of the new year as starting on January 1st, but the astrological year actually starts when the sun moves into the first sign of the zodiac, Aries. So on March 19th, we're going into a new cycle, a cycle of new beginnings, because we just ended that cycle of completion with that Pisces energy where the sun was for the last month. So this is quite exciting. You know, now again, we can focus that chariot to move forward into this time of new beginnings. But realize too that even though the sun is in Pisces, even though the sun is in Aries, we still have Mercury in Pisces here. So, you know, on a mind level, on a mental level, there still might be a little bit of doubt or confusion as we're trying to initiate this new potential or initiate this new beginning or plant these new seeds. Now, I still think there's going to be forward movement because that Aries energy, you know, that's where the sun is. So the sun is highlighting, you know, it's shining its light upon this new beginning energy. On the 20th, the day after the spring equinox and the sun moving into Aries, is Mars connecting with Jupiter. Now, again, Mars is the planet of energy, action, and forward movement. Jupiter likes to expand into whatever energies it's touching. It's in Capricorn right now, so this is about our career path, our life path, our destiny path, our goals, our sense of inner authority. And so Mars is giving that a big push. We're giving a big push to expanding into what are our goals. And again, it's the day after the spring equinox when the sun moves into Aries. So that's a great time, by the way, to set your new intentions. Even though it's before the new moon that's coming up later this month. It's a great time to set new intentions. It's a great time to make a new vision board. You know, I'm really big on making vision boards, even though I haven't done it in a while. Cutting out pictures from magazines, things that you want to create and manifest, especially over the next year. You know, using colored markers, colored pencils, writing phrases, writing words. I mean, however you want to make this vision board. Where do you see yourself within the next year? And you can make the vision board for longer out than that. You can make it, you know, 5 years, 10 years out, or in fact, I wouldn't even put a time limit on it at all, but I would put that, you know, make that vision board with the energies of what it is, where it is you want to move towards, what do you want to focus on and move towards with this chariot energy this month. On the 21st, then it's the next day, the Saturn moves into Aquarius. Now, this is interesting because Saturn stays in the sign of the zodiac for 2.5 years. So it dips into Aquarius. Now it's only there for a few months before it retrogrades back into Capricorn. So it's not fully into Aquarius to stay, because July through December of 2020, it's going to dip back into Capricorn, which is its ruling sign, by the way. Saturn naturally rules Capricorn. Saturn is the planet of structure and form, manifestation, restructuring. It rules, though, also limitation, restriction, and karmic lessons. And it rules time, third dimensional time. So just like any other planet, there's positives and not so positives with what Saturn rules. Saturn is going to move into Aquarius on the 21st until March 23rd, when it retrogrades back into Capricorn. So it only goes a couple of degrees into Aquarius, but this is where the restructuring of that Aquarian energy is going to start. And what is Aquarian energy? It's about humanitarian ideas. It's about humanitarian goals. It's about people coming together of like mind for a common purpose, basically. So Saturn is going to start to restructure a lot of this Aquarian type of energy, but remember, it still has to finish up in Capricorn, and from July through December, it's kind of, again, moving back into its home sign and restructuring a lot of what Capricorn rules, which is big business, big companies, politics, governments, all of those authoritative institutions, banks, etc. So on a collective level, there's a lot of karmic implications coming up and a lot of restructuring that is happening. And also Saturn in Capricorn is bringing up those that are in authority, highlighting that, as you have seen a lot in the news, which I'm not going to go too deeply in. But again, there's a restructuring on this level that's taking place, and that will continue to take place until the end of the year. On the 23rd, Mars connects with Pluto, and again, Mars is that energy and action. It's an activator planet, comes together with Pluto, planet of power and empowerment. So there could be something quite explosive or something quite powerful that's happening in or around that day of the 23rd. And then we have the new moon on the next day. So that Mars-Pluto conjunction happens in the dark of the moon time. So it's going to be quite powerful, whatever that is. I feel like it could be bringing up some disempowerment energies or disempowering situations or relationship energies in our lives, and again on the collective level, and again can be quite explosive. I mean, if we were talking weather patterns or earth changes, this could be about volcanic eruption or things, things to do with the earth, because they are both in that earth sign of Capricorn. So on the 24th, we have the new moon at 4 degrees of Aries. Now, this is the first new moon in that first sign of the zodiac, Aries, after, again, the spring equinox that happened on the 19th. So the sun went into Aries on the 19th. We have a new moon in Aries on the 24th. It happens at 4 degrees of Aries. So if you don't set your intentions when the sun moves into Aries, I'd say set your intentions when the new moon happens in Aries, or both. I say do it both at both time periods. Now, the thing about the new moon is that this new moon connects with Chiron, the wounded healer. Okay, so there's going to be a healing, a wound first that comes up, and a potential healing that takes place regarding our sense of self, regarding our sense of individuality, regarding our self-confidence, regarding our courage to move forward on our paths. So that's what Chiron in Aries is all about and bringing up. And with that new moon, it gives us a chance to at least initiate a healing process in regards to all of those energies that deal with the self. And then we're going to jump forward to the 30th of March, when Mars, again the activator planet, planet of energy, action, and forward movement, moves into Aquarius. And then on the last day of the month, the 31st, Mars in Aquarius connects with Saturn in Aquarius. Again, Saturn just newly also went into Aquarius. So again, forward movement. You know, I think about Mars in Aquarius, and there can be forward movement with humanitarian efforts. There can be forward movement with new ideas that we have. There can be forward movement within groups of like-minded people coming together for a common goal or a common ideal. And with Mars coming together with Saturn at the end of the month, it can help to restructure something. There's a restructuring that's taking place as well as an activation with that particular combination. So that was a lot of energy just to get through the numerology and the astrology. Let's go ahead and get into the messages from our angels and guides for the month. Now, I meditated and I chose some cards. Cards were falling out all over the place, and there was 5 cards that came out rather than 3 for this month. The first card came out as 2. So the first card of those 2 is the Seeker of Flames. Now this is like the Page of Fire or the Page of Wands in the traditional tarot, and the pages are messenger cards. The pages bring messages or information. Now in this deck, the page is called the Seeker. So we're seeking something here in this month of March. And what are we seeking? The flames or the fire or the wands says we're seeking something on a spiritual level, because the fire suit is the suit of the spiritual. And you can see here we have an image of a person. They're knelt before, this is some sort of, you know, a god, a lesser god or idol, if you will. There's a flame here in the center. And they're in a position of almost asking for some sort of advice or information or guidance. Or you could even say they're praying for some sort of information or guidance or message. Okay, so we're seeking here, again, something of a higher level. We're seeking some sort of information or message on a higher spiritual level. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the, and this is too a very creative card. This can be messages or information coming in about creative projects, as well as that spiritual indication. But let's take a look at the card that came out with it and see what more we can add to that. Okay, so this is Major Arcana 15, and in this deck it's called the Shadow. Now, in the traditional tarot, this card is known as the Devil card, and this deals with the shadow. It deals with our fears. It deals with our anxieties. We have a huge kind of spider web here as we look, and we have the shadow of 2 people that are walking towards or through that spider web. Now, you know, symbolically, you know, what do we get from this? To me, I'm getting that we are the creator of our own reality. You know, the web here is a web of creation, so we create our own reality, and sometimes we create our own reality by being stuck in fear or anxiety or doubt or in the shadows. Again, this can be indicative of that Pisces energy that we start the month out with. You know, we're completing that that cycle of the zodiac with that last sign of the zodiac. And, you know, when things are unknown or things are lacking in focus and clarity, sometimes we do get into fear and anxiety, and we do kind of get caught in the shadow side of the ego. And there's nothing bad about the shadow side of the ego. It's just, you know, it's showing us something. It's showing us where we have to work on ourselves. And here with the Seeker of Flames, I want to say that, you know, again, we're seeking some sort of guidance regarding this unknown territory, regarding this lack of clarity. You know, this shadow card here with the 2 people in front of the spider web, it's almost like they're in a dark cave. They can't see the light, or they can't see the clarity. They can't see what's in front of them. And they're seeking some sort of information. They're seeking message from a higher spiritual level to help them to get through this, to help them to heal from this shadow energy. And that's all this is about, is just to heal from and complete that cycle of healing of that shadow energy. So again, we're the creator of this illusion, just as we are the creator of a positive reality. So it's all about, where is your mind at? And that's where Mercury moving retrograde back into Aquarius can really aid us is to kind of, again, uplift us a little bit from that lack of clarity and give us a little bit of focus here as Mercury goes back into Aquarius for a few days, so that we can move forward in a more positive way and heal this fear and heal this anxiety and heal this lack of knowing where we need to go. Now, the web is actually very magical. If I think about the spider, the totem of the spider animal, it actually relates to the priestess energy, the spider. And the priestess energy is about being the magical creatress of your own reality, weaving your own web of fate, weaving your own reality in a positive way. So use that energy in its most positive way and release the fears, release the doubts, release the anxieties. It's all just a part of the shadow. And again, it's not a negative, because the Pisces energy has been bringing up those fears, those illusions, the doubt, the lack of trust and faith, so that it can be healed. That's what this Piscean completion phase has been about. And whether it's been on a physical level, an emotional level, a mental level, a spiritual level, or all of the above, it's helping you to create it and let go. But seek those messages. Seek the messages from Spirit, from universe, from God, and ask your angels and guides even, or your higher soul self. Look for messages of guidance as you move forward through this healing time. The next card that comes up, and this card came up by itself, is the Seven of Chalices. So this is like the Seven of Cups in the traditional tarot. Now, we talked a lot about that number 7 because the month of March is a 7 universal month. So you already have information about that. Being a time of self-reflection, going within, again, very much relating to that Pisces energy of going within and doing a lot of internal work, healing work, work in silence, connecting with your higher soul self. The Seven of Chalices usually talks about some sort of emotional confusion that's taking place and choices that we have on an emotional level. And you can see that from the imagery here. We have 7 cups, and the cups are going up a spiral staircase, and each cup has something different within it, if you can look closely. And, you know, some of these things, I feel like there's a castle in one of them. I feel like there's a dragon in one of them. You know, I can't really see clearly what the other things within that, the imagery is here in this particular light. But this is about making some sort of choice, but being emotionally confused. Like we have to make a choice, but we're confused as to what choice is the right choice. And one of the answers is that perhaps there is no right choice. There's just choice, okay? And that each choice on a different staircase or a different step, a different stair, this is only saying that each choice is going to take you in a different direction. Each choice is going to take you to a different reality or a different experience, if you will. There doesn't mean that there's good choices versus bad choices necessarily. Now, some of the choices, if you look at the imagery, perhaps some of the choices that could be made are of a higher level, but it doesn't mean that the lower level ones are bad or not right either. So just realize that each different reality here, each different potential, I guess is a better way to say it, each potential has something different associated with it. And perhaps this is about moving through the emotional energies too. I mean, perhaps we're making choices all this month and just moving up the spiral staircase. So don't look at it as just making one choice and one decision. Perhaps we can reevaluate, because Mercury is still in its shadow, even though it turns direct on the 9th, it's still in its shadow for a few days yet this month. So we can still reevaluate and make different decisions along the way through this month of March until we get to the one that potentially is the best choice for us. But know that emotionally we might want to pull back our energies and do a little bit more self-contemplation, meditation, and self-healing at this time. And then the last card actually came out as 2 cards as well. So the first of those last 2 cards, we have another seeker. This is the Seeker of Crystals now, which is like the Page of Earth or the Page of Pentacles. So now this is messages of a tangible nature. Remember, this one, the Seeker of Flames, is messages of a spiritual nature. Now we have information and messages on the third dimensional plane: career path, life path, destiny path, money, finances, home, family matters, friendship matters, anything that is of this third dimensional reality. We're seeking information now regarding those aspects of our life, perhaps more so during the second half of the month, when we're out of that Pisces energy and we're into the new spring equinox energy with the sun moving into Aries, and we're into the new moon energy on the 24th with the energy of new beginnings in the sign of Aries, and Mars moves into Aquarius at the end of the month. So I feel like things might become a little bit more tangible, if you will, regarding those third dimensional aspects of our life as we move into the latter part of the month. Now let's see, and she's looking into a crystal ball, by the way, to try to scry, if you will, or see the potentials and the possibilities. Let's look at the card that comes out with the Seeker of Crystals. Wonderful card, great card. This is the Great Wheel, Major Arcana number 10. This is the Wheel of Fortune in the traditional tarot, which means that there's a new cycle of energy that's come in, and that's exactly what's happening with the spring equinox. It's a new cycle of energy, a new beginning, planting new seeds, moving in new directions, making new decisions for ourselves. And usually with the Wheel of Fortune or the Great Wheel, we're seeing positive potential, positive changes. That Wheel of Fortune is turning in our favor. So again, we're moving away from, I feel like we're moving away from the shadow, and we're moving into, again, this wonderful new experience. And you can see that the Great Wheel here has, it's in the universe. So there's all these potentials and all these possibilities. Again, not just necessarily one potential and one possibility. When you're planting seeds in a garden, like with Aries being that sign of planting new seeds, when you plant seeds in a garden, you're planting lots of seeds, lots of different things. Not just only one fruit or vegetable, but you're planting lots of different things and many seeds for each thing. And not all of those seeds are going to grow. Some of them will grow and some of them won't. Some of them will grow faster than others. And you have to tend to and water them and nurture them and make sure that they get sunlight and the right fertilizer. And it's the same with this potential and possibilities here of the universe. Not everything is going to grow, but if you plant as many seeds as you can, and then see which ones start to sprout and start to grow, then you'll know which ones are the ones to kind of follow up on. And this is, again, for the weeks and months ahead as we move forward. But this is a great way to end the month's energy as far as the card reading part is concerned. Let's go ahead and see what your special message card is, depending on your stone of choice. Okay, so we got the energy oracle cards here. Taking a deep breath. And we're going to give these a little shuffle. And the first card is going to be for the ragonite people. And the one on the bottom is Colleen. Nope, they're saying not that one. Okay, let me just give it a shuffle again here. This one's calling my attention. It's sticking up. And we have contract, number 6 in contract. Number 6 numerologically is about balance. As above, so below, balancing the masculine and feminine energies, balancing home and family with career and life path energies. And there seems to be Lady Justice holding the scales of justice here. So there's something being karmically rebalanced. Now, contract could be a karmic contract is being fulfilled. Something karmically speaking, a situation, relationship, circumstance in your life. There's some sort of karmic contract completion that's happening, and the scales are rebalancing so that you can move forward into a new direction. Now, this could quite literally be that there's some sort of contract going on. It could be a legal contract, a business contract. That also could be indicated within this month. And I would say that the scales are going to be rebalanced in your favor. The scales are pretty well balanced here if you look at them. There's just a tad off, but sometimes you know, when we see the scales of justice in different card images, sometimes they're out of balance a little bit. But this one looks pretty equal. So I feel like the karmic scales are being rebalanced. If there's some sort of contract thing that you're waiting to see how it unfolds, that it should unfold in your best and highest interest anyway, if not in your mind in a positive way. But I think whatever happens, it's in your highest and best interest from a spiritual perspective. If you are waiting to sign some sort of contract, wait until Mercury goes direct, and even a few days after for it to pick up speed if you can. Again, it goes direct on the 9th. We might want to wait here a few days so that it picks up speed before you sign anything if you can. But again, I really feel like this, for most of you, is about some sort of karmic contract that is being fulfilled. Some sort of, again, it could be even just about an old belief system, an old life lesson, an old repeating circumstance in your life, that, or a pattern in your life that you've had happen over and over again, maybe in career or business, maybe in relationships, maybe in family, maybe in finances. I feel like whatever it is that you've been working on healing, that's coming to a close here. And again, those karmic scales are being rebalanced so that you can release that almost, I want to say, on a forever basis, so that you don't have to carry it forward with you in this lifetime or any other lifetime anymore. And so just intend for that karmic contract to be completed with whatever it is, whoever it is, whatever situation it is, and allow that to be rebalanced in the most positive way. For those of you that chose the window quartz, let's see here, window quartz people. Okay, this one right in front of me. Victory. Oh, I love it. Victory number 28. Now, the 2 is about balance. The 8 is about empowerment. Together they add up to a 10, which relates to the Wheel of Fortune card and new beginnings, because if you reduce the number 10 down to a single digit, it's a 1, and the 1 is also about new beginnings. So first of all, there's something significant about the spring equinox, something significant about the new moon in Aries for you. Again, this wonderful new beginning is taking place. Victory is at hand. You're coming into a time of success and recognition. You're coming into the time of the harvest. You can see this has a fall-like feeling to it, with kind of this harvest, these harvest leaves kind of. And there's a lot of golden in this card, relating to the solar plexus, relating to your sense of willpower, confidence, courage, self-discipline, leadership abilities. So I feel like if you're using that solar plexus chakra and all that it entails, you're going to come into this time of success and recognition and victory. And you know, again, this wonderful new beginning is going to start taking place for you. Okay, wonderful, wonderful message. And then for those of you that chose the Lapis, okay, Lapis people, this one's calling my attention here. The Garden and the Gate, number 30. Now, the 3 energy is about changing our perspectives. I want to say there's something about changing our perspectives to be in a more positive state of glass half full rather than glass half empty. It's also about creative self-expression. It's also about expansion. Now, the Garden and the Gate, if you can see the symbology, there's a woman here. She's on one side of the gate. On the other side of this gate is this wide open space, this beautiful sky, this, you know, ability to kind of be free. Because right now, as she's on the other side of this gate, there are some positive things here. There are some flowers, there's some foliage, but she looks a little forlorn. She doesn't look like she's the happiest that she can be. So I feel like even though there's certain, what do I want to say, certain energies within your situation or circumstance right now that you might feel like you're holding on to because there's some positivity to them, that really you're feeling a little bit trapped or limited because you're on one side of this gate and you'd rather be over here on the other side where you're expansive and you're free moving and you're getting to see the world and you want to expand out like the number 3 here. to travel or experience new opportunities or to create in a different way. So again, there's this weird energy of, making a decision. If you want to move through that gate and experience this other, more expansive reality, or if you want to stay here on this side of the gate with some of the things that are positive, these beautiful, blooming flowers, and she's got a basket as if she's been gathering certain things along her way. But again, she doesn't look completely happy, expansive, and free. So we either have to change our perspective about what's on this side of the gate if we're going to stay there, or we need to decide that we're going to expand our reality and expand our perceptions to walk through that gate, have that confidence to walk through that gate, and experience the big, wide world that's on the other side. Now, I feel like there, again, may not be a right choice necessarily. It's just a choice. So really go into yourself, like that number 7 of the month of March suggests. Go into yourself in silence and meditation and ask, what do I want to experience right now? What's in my highest and best interest? When I think about staying on this side of the gate and maybe changing my perspective and seeing the beauty that's around me and being grateful and thankful for what I have, do I feel a sense of peace about that? Or do I long for this over here? And when I think about going through the gate and walking to the other side and experiencing the wide world and being free, do I feel anxiety or do I feel excitement? And really kind of move through. Again, you have time. You don't have to make a quick decision. But I feel like you need to decide how you want to proceed in life as you move into the spring equinox, into this time of new beginnings. So I hope you've all liked this monthly angel card reading. Thanks for hanging in. It's been a long video, but the monthlies usually are a bit longer. If you're new to the channel, please check out my weekly angel card readings as well. If you haven't also checked out my Facebook pages under Colleen Lemma and Sacred Soul Empowerment, please do so. I do daily astrological empowerment posts on those. I send you all lots of love and light, everyone, in this month of March, this time of new beginnings that we're getting close to. And again, many angel blessings, love and light.